Throughout history, some people didn't just live, they changed the world. They left their mark through their ideas, courage, and vision. And among the greatest of them was Steve Jobs. We know him from Apple, the iPhone, the MacBook. But in reality, Steve Jobs was more than just a tech genius. He was a visionary, a man who saw the world differently and reshaped it with his ideas. But the biggest secret of Steve Jobs wasn't about technology or groundbreaking products. His greatest secret was hidden in a single piece of advice that he gave to only one person before he passed away. This advice remained hidden for years, but now, it's finally coming to light. And the most surprising part, it could change your life too. So, who was the one person Steve Jobs shared this secret with? Was it his family? His closest colleagues at Apple? A student? Perhaps. No. The person who received this advice was someone many people might not recognize: Marc Andreessen. Marc Andreessen was the co-founder of Netscape, one of the first web browsers that helped shape the internet. Later, he became a major investor in companies like Facebook, Airbnb, and Twitter, helping to shape the modern tech landscape. But when Steve Jobs gave him this one piece of advice, it completely changed the way Andreessen looked at business. And for years, he kept it to himself. Until now. Now, we've reached the most important part. What exactly did Steve Jobs tell Marc Andreessen? At first, it seemed like simple advice, but its impact was profound. Steve Jobs told him, if you want to build something truly great, focus only on the product. This may sound obvious, but for anyone in business, this lesson is critical, because as companies grow, they often lose their focus. They start with a great idea, but over time, they get caught up in marketing, shareholders, revenue models, and financial strategies. But Steve Jobs believed in the exact opposite approach. He was convinced that the only way to build an incredible company was to create an incredible product. If the product isn't good enough, no amount of marketing can save you. But if the product is truly revolutionary, people will notice, and the world will start talking about it on its own. But is this advice only for business? Absolutely not. In fact, it applies to everyone. Think about it. If you want to start a business, should you spend your time and money on advertising? Or should you first focus on creating a world-class product? Or let's talk about your career. Is networking the most important thing? Or should you focus on becoming so good at what you do that people can't ignore you? Steve Jobs' philosophy is simple. If your work is truly great, people will notice. Success doesn't come from just having a marketing strategy. It comes from being the best at what you do. If you are truly exceptional, success will find you. Today, Apple is still one of the biggest tech companies in the world. But Steve Jobs' true legacy isn't just the company he built. It's his mindset, his philosophy, and the way he saw the world. So, the real question is, how will you use this knowledge? You've now heard the advice Steve Jobs gave to just one person, but what really matters is, how will you apply it to your own life? What are you doing right now to build something great? Can you start focusing on the one thing that will set you apart? Let me know in the comments. What do you think of Steve Jobs' advice? And how can you use it in your own journey? If you love inspirational stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.